Hey, thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of Excel 10-Minute Leaders Live, where we showcase different stories, journeys from around the world. Joining us today from the US, where it's a good morning, Steve Gamlin. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to our conversation.
It's great to have you here, nice and early in the
Oh,
morning.
yes.
So, Steve, we've got 10 minutes together. We're going to talk about goals, I think. So,
Yes.
how important that is to leadership and how important that is for just general personal and business life.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Fire away.
All right, 10 minutes on the clock. Let's start now. Your business card. If you have one, fine, answer the question. If you don't have one, imagine you had one. What does it say on your business card, Steve?
It says motivational firewood with a little TM next to it because I own the trademark on that phrase, and that's the branding that I've chosen to adopt.
Motivational firewood. Tell me
Yes.
more.
When I first became a speaker and went to a meeting, and I had one of those little blue name badges of shame that says, "Hi, I'm brand new," with my first name. Somebody asked, "Well, what sets you apart from other speakers?" I said, "I want to help people." He says, "Okay, we all want to help people." And after about 3 to 5 minutes of speaking with him, finally I just spit out. I said, "Look, if people are coming to hear me speak, they've got issues, they've got goals, but they don't know how to start. They have that tiny little spark. So if I share a story, a lesson, an idea, a call to action, something that gets them to advance to the next level, it's like I handed them a piece of motivational firewood." And the person went, "Ooh, do you know anything about trademarks?" And I said, "No." He said, "I love the concept, but best, I loved your face when you explained why you do what you do." So I've been the motivational firewood guy for the past 17 years.
Fantastic. The kindling. All
Yes.
right, so we're going to learn a bit about goals. I guess that's where we're going to go today. What's the problem that people have? Why do they need people to remind them about goals? What's broken?
I think a lot of times people have had these little failures in their life, or they say they wanted something and maybe they didn't achieve it. Maybe they didn't know how. Maybe they never took a step, but maybe, and the thing I see a lot, the people around them tell them, "Why do you want that? That's not a good goal. You failed every other time you tried." And I think people just, a lot of times they fail to start or they don't believe in themselves enough. Or the opposite from my industry, you get all these people out there with the flash cars, the private jets, the yachts, the mansions, and they're telling you that's what success is.
Hmm.
Most of us don't have the tools or even the desire to have something like that. And I think a lot of people, it just freezes them. And it was the phrase, I believe it originated in the Bible, comparison is the thief of joy. Well, there's too many people out there showing that all these big high-end things is what success really is. When for some people, it might be a date night once a week with their partner or their spouse,
Hmm.
or it might be just making a certain amount of money or having a certain number of pounds on the scale at the end of the year. I think we just need to figure out what success means to us. And there's just not enough people out there in my industry, I believe, explaining it this way. That's why I try to be that person.
Hmm. I feel a lot of goals that people take on, they get exposed to a lot of self development literature and they get exposed to these as well, unfortunately. And the
Mm-hmm.
influences of those and social media tend to, people adopt other people's goals. They tend to not parrot them so much as they cobble them together. So, like you say, I need the yacht and I need to have the trophy wife and I need to have the title on my business card, all these kind of things. And we piece those together from other people's stories. And then when we achieve them, or even as most the case, they work towards them and never achieve them, they feel like a failure. And the reason is because I guess deep down, they never were aligned with
Mm-hmm.
their internal compass, if you like.
Yeah.
So how do you break through that? Because I imagine when you talk about goals, people would probably think about, what do I see on Instagram? Oh, these people, they're all flying in private jets and look at their bodies and look at me.
Yeah. And I do a
That's a
lot with
tough ask.
visualization with people. So I'll ask them, "What do you want?" And if they look at me funny, I say, "Remember that Spice Girls song? What do you really, really want?" And I just start having conversations with people, say for a car or a home or a job, or what would you look for in a partner to have that perfect relationship, and put away the Instagram photos and the influencers and all of these things. Do not go buy a vision board starter kit that already has a Ferrari and a mansion and a yacht on it. What do you really want? And I tell people, look, it's not just material stuff. You've got your career, your finances, your physical health, your emotional well-being, your spirituality, your ethics, morals, connections, relationships, all of these things that are working in our lives constantly. It's not just stuff. Stop writing letters to Santa Claus. What version of you and what would you like to have around you that would make you feel happy, for starters, which is a
Just
level of
hold,
success.
go back. I like what you said, and I think it's important. Stop writing letters to Santa Claus.
Yeah.
What are you taking a shot at there?
The gurus and all the people in my industry who keep telling you that this is the pinnacle of success, all these things, and just stop wishing for things. Figure out what actually emotionally resonates for you. What would it look like to be happy in your life, or feel successful, or feel accomplished, or actually enjoy who you are along the way. Don't just keep picking these end goals. You've got to become this person along the way who would not only enjoy them, but also do the work to achieve these things. And stop bribing God for lottery numbers, saying, well, I'll do this if you just give me, $110 million on this winning ticket.
Do you think there's a certain type of person that is difficult to make this transformation? I mean, we all know that there's people that don't have goals. And there seems to be a group of people as well, the entrepreneurs, and I speak on behalf of all entrepreneurs in the world, obviously, but I'm an entrepreneur, and I think our problem with goals is something you've alluded to, which is that we tend to hold our happiness hostage to the achievement of the goal. I'm not going to be happy until I get that. There's that mansion. There's that Ferrari. And how do you find working with those guys who have the energy and the desire to set goals, and yet they go off, and you've almost got to do a different piece of work with them, right?
Yeah, the conversations I have people like that. I mean, I am a recovering workaholic. In my 20s and early 30s, I was in the radio industry. I owned a DJ business on the side, and I just kept trying to keep running and making money, building my business, building my fame, building my career, more and more and more. My first marriage fell apart. Financially, I was just in horrible shape at the end of it all. It's almost like a machine that runs too long and doesn't take a break. And if you're looking from the outside, you go, oh, wow, yeah, he's going. Uh-oh, where's that little smoke trail coming from? Okay, now it's out of alignment. Now it's starting to bang, and now it's just dead, which is what happened in my life around 18 years ago. So what I try to express to those people is, look, it's great to have goals. It's great to want to work hard, but please understand, if you don't get enough sleep, you can't work as much. If you don't eat well, you're going to have health issues later in life. If you don't pay attention to your spouse partner, your relationship is going to fall apart. And from experience, I just share with these people, this is what happens if you just look in that one narrow lane and you don't take into account that all of these other things, all the other parts I mentioned earlier, actually contribute to the entire machine. So I'm not saying don't have goals or don't work hard, but just understand that there's all these other parts of your life, and be sure along the way, enjoy the process. Don't be sitting on the porch at 90 years old with a stack of money, miserable and sick. If you make it to 90, going the way you're going.
Yeah. It's easy to say that, though, isn't it? That, you will realize that when you're 90, thinking, oh my God, what happened? Suddenly I remember being 21 years old, and now look at me, I'm 90. It was a blink of an eye. What do you do, or how can you help people, or how can I not fall into that trap? Because I have to realize that now, don't I? Because, if somebody's really driven, the issue is that they're not going to realize it until it's too late.
Right. What I do with people is initially, I have conversations with them. Hey, what would your life be like in this area if you put a little attention to it? What about your relationship could be better? What about your career could be better? What about your health and all these other things? Just say, what would it look like if you were in a better place a year from now than right now? And I have people do assessments. Where's your life right now in all of these things? Some of the answers are ugly. People say, oh, this is terrible, 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 terrible. Okay, well, why don't we, instead of just focusing on this money thing, a year from now, if you did a little bit of effort, what would you like your life to be like in each of these areas? And all of a sudden, it's kind of like when they say, when the tide comes in, all the boats rise. If you could make each part of your life just a little bit better over the course of the next year, what actions would you take? What would it look like, feel like, sound like, be like? And who would you have to become? That's where we start. And then we start to build the action plan so they can systematically punch away at each of these things a little at a time to get there.
What do you know about goals now? that you didn't know when you started out studying this area? What has been some of the revelations, if you like, that you've had in this area? Because we all know about achievement and the psychology of achievement, and a lot of it now is well established, like the idea of having to visualize goals and also having to write these things down, commit to them, etc., etc. But have there been any surprises in there in studying this, and particularly about human behavior?
The biggest thing for me was that so many people believe that they can just happen like that. And there's a perception out there. I mean, the influencers talk about these things. Oh, I did this and this happened, as though it's instantaneous. And what I found over the years, it's a long, drawn out process for the biggest goals and for the ones that we're most emotionally connected to. The ones we want most are probably going to take the most work. So I compare it to an old wooden roller coaster. And we've got an ancient one here in the southern part of our state. You get a little group of people on this ride, and it goes forward and it goes click, 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 and there's nothing exciting or sexy about it. But you can't get to the top of the hill, which is where your goal is, if you don't do every single little step. And I think a lot of people fail to understand that. They say, well, I want this. Well, it hasn't happened yet. Brother, you're not even in the car yet. You haven't even pulled down the bar so you don't fall out. But if you do every single little step to get there and you're systematic, build momentum, be consistent. When that last click puts you over the top, you are going to see a view that is probably going to freak you out at first, but you're going to enjoy the heck out of that ride. And when you get to the end, and believe me, once you go over the top, you can't stop the ride. You've hit success. So you enjoy the rest of that. You scream your brains out. And at the end, if you really enjoyed what you achieved, you're going to get back in line and set another goal. And the cool part is you see somebody there who's on the ride for the first time and they're a little nervous and freaked out. You can say, hey, did you just set a goal? What's your goal? Hey, why don't you sit next to me? I've already done this process. Let me walk you through this and let's click up this hill together and let's enjoy this ride and then go find some more people to enjoy it with.
Steve Gamlin, everybody. Steve, where do we find out more about you?
Nice and easy. It's all right there at motivationalfirewood.com.
Fantastic, Steve. Thanks for coming on the show and sharing your stories and your motivation with us today. Enjoyed that.